So today I'm going to be doing actually a really different video than I normally do. A while back I posted a video, or I posted a picture on Instagram, and I kind of just shared not my testimony, but it was just a little how Jesus changed my life. And I actually have been getting a lot of emails. It kind of made me realize how just sharing something as simple as that, something personal like that, something just like personal, can really help other people out. And it kind of gave me opened up my mind a little bit, and I wanted to just, I don't know, just share my testimony with you. And it's got me, I don't know, it's something that I wrestle with in my brain, because I'm still new to it, and it wasn't easy for me ever. I could probably never talk about it before, my testimony, and I'm always very quick to judge myself before anyone else can judge me, and that's kind of a flaw of mine. Why do I don't need to judge myself, you know? But that's again kind of how my brain works in the last 25 years. Basically, I just wanted to do this to help anyone else that's maybe going through the same thing. You know, just kind of getting your story out there, and just sharing people with your struggles and problems could help someone else, and it could save someone else's life. So that's basically what my point of is doing this. Again, it took me a lot of courage to do this video. I've contemplated it many times. I've actually even typed it out or wrote it out. I actually wrote it out and then typed it out, just because I want it to be clear. I don't always come clear with what I'm saying. My mind is a little ADD, so it goes from one place to a whole other place, which that's just me. That's just me. But I just really had a struggle till I still struggle, but I had a struggle, and I just kind of wanted to share with you my testimony, so maybe I could, like I said, save a life, or even bring someone to Jesus, or even just kind of help someone out that's going through a difficult time, or that's kind of can relate to me. Again, I'm not trying to preach to you or tell you that this is what you need, because not everybody needs the same thing, you know? But it would be great even if I just helped one or impact one person, whether it was any way I impacted them, whether it was just keeping them from hurting themselves, or saving their life, or being saved, or bringing them closer to Jesus. I don't care what it is. It's just, that's what the point of this is. So let's get into it. Ready? Are you ready for this? I wrote half of it out, and then I just kind of gave up on writing it because it was real late. When I was a child, my real father abandoned me. So my whole life I have wrestled with the self-worth, feeling valued. I never really felt like I was valuable. To fill that void that I kind of longed for, I actually found myself being in a lot of unhealthy relationships with people that were abusive mentally, physically, and emotionally. I was never really close to my mom or my stepdad. They both had me. Well, my mom had me at 16 years old, and she married my stepdad when I was 2, and he was 18. So they're both really young. I did kind of blame them for years why I was the way I was, but now being able to look back, I mean, I understand they did the best that they could. So I don't want anyone to think that I am trying to disgrade or discredit or kind of bash my parents, because that's not what I'm trying to do at all. Family being so young, my mom, by the time she was 20, she had 3 kids, so they didn't really have even time to find their self. So I don't put any blame on them now. At a young age, you kind of need your parents to be that kind of guidance and that support to not only help you build confidence, but also to help you just feel like you're loved and like you're important in this world. Because without that, I feel like then you start to struggle, and then you get in your mind, and that's when it becomes a really mind kind of effed up. Your mind just starts to get damaged. In my teens, I realized that there was something missing, and I was just really unfulfilled. So I chased whatever I thought fulfilled me, whatever I thought made me happy, whatever brought me some kind of pleasure. Drugs, alcohol, anything that really just kind of gave me that sort of fulfillment, even if it was temporary. but still I was never fulfilled. I was always let down and I was never really happy. I didn't know what else to look for. I felt extremely alone and lost. I didn't feel that anyone cared. So I started at a young age cutting myself. It almost helped me mask the pain that I was going through, like my eternal pain. Giving myself physical pain actually helped me feel, it kind of made the numbing go away of my internal pain. And it did kind of give me a sense of relief. Almost like I had like a weight lifted off my shoulders for the moment. And of course, it would come back after the physical pain went away. The emotional pain came back. During that time, I had a really big problem with just thinking that it would just be easier if I wasn't around. So I became suicidal, and I started writing like suicide notes, and I never had the courage to actually go through it. I would cut myself the right, not like the way that you just relieve pain, but the right way to just hit a nerve or a vein that could do some like permanent damage. I had a lot of built up feelings and emotions, and you ever know that people don't realize it, and a lot of people still don't, but if you don't feel what you're feeling, like if you don't let your feelings come to pass, if you try to avoid your feelings, which I always did, it never goes away. You have to feel what you're feeling for it to go away, whether it's grief, whether it's pain. If you don't feel it, there's this quote that I really like. It's seriously perfect. In order to move on, you must know why you felt the way you did and why you no longer feel that way. So you got to feel the feeling, because you have to, or it won't go away. I started to get in a lot of trouble at school, and then that led me getting into a lot of legal trouble. Getting arrested, doing drugs, drinking a lot, anything that almost masked the pain that I was feeling. It just felt good to feel good, to not be hurting. One day I had a meeting with my probation officer, and she began to talk to me about God. I thought she was silly because I didn't know anything about God. I never grew up with it. I was never talked about, and it was never really even a thought in my mind. I didn't even know. I knew that like people like thought there was a God, but I never even put like any thought into it. Like, what is God? Like, why do people believe that? I actually thought that people in school that I went to were weird if they were like Jesus freaks or people that loved God. But the more I visited her, the more she prayed over me, and I kind of just got this feeling in my heart to go. So I went to the church that she went to, but the energy right when you walked in, I felt it immediately that once I sat down, I cried. I loved it so much, but again, I wasn't in the right state of mind to keep going. I walked the line of partying, and that church life just didn't fit in at the time. I kept going down the wrong paths and continuing that downward spiral, stepping stones with boyfriends and jobs and schools and friends. And I was just in a lot of really dangerous relationships. Nothing that was stable or that just gave me that like stability. I was finally stopped at my tracks when I got in this really bad car accident, which kind of forced me to get the strength to move away from where I was and move back to like the city that I grew up with, so back with my family. But moving back with my family wasn't a really good situation, because my family and me, we were never close, and I had that resentment towards them at the time, loving me the way I wanted them to love me. Since I was kicked out, I didn't feel welcome to begin with, so I did whatever I could to get out of there. I just felt like I needed to do whatever I needed to do to get out of that environment. And that's when I started working at a strip club. Being in a strip club, you're introduced to a lot. The environment is crazy. You're introduced to a lot of different drugs, alcohol, people. I started to drink every single day. I think I was so ashamed of where I was at and embarrassed. My thoughts were if I didn't remember anything, then I wouldn't be able to have feelings towards it, which isn't healthy. And then one night, I know it was God. By the time I got a DUI. I was already on probation at the time, so I knew it wasn't going to go good. But I ignored it until all my sentencing and continued to work there. After work one day, after the club, one day, me and my friends, we went to a thing called Bud Bash, which is just kind of like a boat party where all these boats just come together and just party in the water. And that's where I met my husband, Brandon. And if I didn't work at the strip club, then I wouldn't have probably went to Bud Bash and met my husband. He was actually first real guy that I've ever really met or ever been with that was a true gentleman and was actually had like a good heart and had some kind of head on their shoulders and some goals and ambitions, and that wasn't just for about sex or alcohol or drugs. So finally sentencing came a few weeks later, and that kind of forced me to stop working at the strip club because I was getting random drug and alcohol screens. So it was kind of a grace in disguise. Because obviously, since I would have to be in a normal state of mind, there was no way that I could stay working there. So that actually was the beginning of where I started to clean up my life. My relationship with Brandon was actually going really, really good. Normal, which gave me some kind of sense of stability and value, which I really longed for. And the rest is history, and then we got married. But in the last year is where it all came together. I had a huge blowout with my family, and we didn't talk for almost a whole year, which again made me start to question my value and my worth. And because I was so deprived of their attention and their love, and to just feel like I was needed and wanted in their life, like I was important, like they cared, which kind of led me to get more disappointed and also kind of made me depressed. And some days I didn't get out of bed, and I began to go down a really dark road. I had enough of feeling like I wasn't important. And I don't care what age, gender you are, everyone wants to feel loved and needed, and everybody needs that in life. So then I started feeling like a resentment and jealousy towards my husband because he actually came from a family that anyone and everyone would dream of. His mom would always be like overly aggressive with like telling him love him and that she missed him and was there for him. It was just kind of like some kind of thing that I wish that my family did, so it kind of developed a resentment towards my husband and his family. And at the time he didn't even know or even get why I was feeling the way I was feeling, or why I was kind of disconnecting and kind of distancing myself. Every day was a battle, and I started to think those suicidal thoughts that I used to think. So I googled easy ways to take my life. I even googled how to load a rifle gun, and that's where my husband found out or figured out, because he's seen that I was messing with his guns, and since I was like in a depressed mood and everything, he began to worry. I just wasn't in my state of mind, and when I'm not in that kind of state of mind, all I see is black. One day I was messing with the gun, and then he came home and the door was locked, and he actually broke it down. And if he wasn't home, I don't know if I'd still be here, because I guess that's what kind of helped save my life. Saved my life. My husband, since he grew up in such a stable environment and didn't have no childhood trauma or no pain inside, he wasn't broken. He was literally, nothing was wrong with him. He didn't understand it, and he didn't get it. One day we went and visited his parents, and what was weird is we got in we got in his car broke down, and that delayed us from coming home. So once we got home, like a little later than we did, what's weird was I turned on the TV, and it would be, if I got home at normal time and his car didn't break down, I don't think I probably would have came across it. But since the car broke down and I got home at the time that I did, I turned on the TV and I came across Oprah's Life class, which I don't even know Oprah. Now I probably do, but I didn't know Oprah's channel, and I didn't know anything about Life class, so I don't know how I came across it. It was just weird. But I know it was God trying to get my attention, because if we were home sooner and his car didn't break down, we might not have turned it on. I couldn't take my eyes off of it. Joel Osteen was on it, and I was just so intrigued, and that I started to search when Joel Osteen was on again, and then I even started buying his book. At the end of Joel Osteen's show, now I'm reading off my paper. At the end of Joel Osteen's show, he always says, make God first, and I promise he's going to do things in your life that you've never dreamt of. So after actually 5 or 6 months after watching it, I googled non-denominational church, because I liked how Joel Osteen spoke, and it was more motivational rather than kind of preached at. And luckily, we had a church literally 10 minutes away. And I was nervous, but I asked my husband if he would go, and because he never really got interested in it or never wasn't like a church person and didn't question me. He didn't question me, and I think at that time, he just didn't care. He just figured since I was interested in something, then he would want to do it. The first step, I walked in, I immediately felt that same energy that I felt the time I went years ago. It's in the great environment. It wasn't like a church. It wasn't at all. Pastor was relaxed, wearing jeans, and it was just modern. It wasn't like a church. And ever since then, we have went every Sunday. And then 6 months after that, we got baptized. And now we are living for God. We have a purpose, and I feel like I have a reason to be here. I feel that void of feeling unloved, unwanted, and unworthy has finally went away. Like, I feel fulfillment. It's crazy because before God, you never get a sentence from me about my past or the pain. Never. I had just built up so much anger and so much resentment inside, so much hurt that from my childhood that I would never really talk about. I could never speak about my childhood, my father. By the grace of God, He has cleansed me and He has made me new. I don't feel lost, broken, hopeless, or unwanted, or alone. My heart just feels lifted and free of all the heaviness that I've been carrying the past years and my whole life. It's weird because I never felt like I'd be happy, and I feel like I'm just a completely different person. A strength, and God's been my answer this whole time. And it's been right in front of me. I needed this, and I'm not sure if I'd be here if it wasn't for God. I'm not sure. For me, I feel so empowered, confident, and I feel like I can overcome anything. I never had that much strength before, and it amazes me how God works and how He has chased me. Even for my husband, I just feel so grateful and appreciative that the love of my father that I missed as a child, I now find in my relationship with God. Now I know not everyone is going to need or want or even believe, and that's okay. I'm not trying to persuade you or force anything on anyone, but I felt that God has a reason behind my darkness, and I know that He'd want me to use it for the good, for the light, to help others and inspire people that are or had the same experiences or had the same feelings or situations, because if maybe I didn't feel like a complete alien and that someone else has went through the same thing, it would have been easier for me. So if I can potentially help or even save one person's life, then that's all I ever wanted. And I know that's what God has placed on my heart. So if you're feeling alone, helpless, unwanted, not loved, not worthy, insecure, maybe God could help you like He did me. Every day is a new experience with my walk with God. He's not finished with me yet, and I'm not perfect, and I still have struggles and weaknesses. But I know now how to get through it with my strength in the Lord. And that gives me a sense of peace. And I just want everyone to feel this joy and fulfillment. And I can't believe how different everything is, how different I look at life. And I know people are going to judge me, but I don't care. I fought to become who I am. I'm satisfied in knowing Jesus. Call me whatever you'd like, because judging me only defines who you are. There's nothing like it, this feeling. There's nothing like this feeling, I promise. Now, I'm not proclaiming that I'm perfect, or that I've never sinned, or that I don't sin still. I fail God every single day. But I try. Phil Robertson says it perfectly. Love yourself, love your neighbor, and just try. Just try. Just try to be a good person. And I just don't know who I'd be without Jesus in my heart. Jesus shapes the way I think, the way I act, the way I see this world. Different, I guess, because I love Jesus.